Where did all that COVID money go? Congress has questions about it, so do we. It's our money, of course. We got taxed, our dollars were inflated so that they could just print billions for whatever they thought they needed at the time. Turns out a lot of that money was just stolen. The Select Subcommittee on the Pandemic sent this letter over to the Department of Justice, Merrick, Garland. You know, if there's fraud, corruption, if they are stealing and thieving aid, then somebody should be investigating that, right? Doesn't that fall within the Department of Justice? Well, Congress wants answers, and they say, Dear Attorney General Garland, as of January of this year, 2023, the federal government, look at this number, oh my gosh, has spent $4.6 trillion with a T on aid programs in response to the pandemic. $4.6 trillion. That's from the GAO. That's so much money. This is equal to more than was spent by the entire federal government in every fiscal year prior to 2020. The entire government, not just aid. This massive growth in government spending caused inflation and expanded the government to unprecedented levels. Worse still, these costly COVID-19 era programs were rife with waste, fraud, and abuse. Criminals inside and outside the United States stole approximately, look at this, $280 billion in taxpayer funds intended for families, businesses, hospitals, and others. $280 billion. Some of these fraudulent actors were based outside of the United States. You're kidding, foreign countries? And they may involve international criminal organizations. Estimates imply that at least half of all the stolen COVID funds went to Russia, China, and Nigerian criminals. Oh my gosh, the Nigerian princes who send those emails? In August 2021, a senior federal Bureau of Investigation official and a member of the fraud task force said it's definitely an economic attack on the United States. Tens of billions of dollars will be missing. It's a significant amount of money that goes overseas. In December 2022, Secret Service stated a group of hackers linked to the Chinese Communist Party stole at least $20 million in relief funds by hacking government computer networks in at least 6 states. As of March 2022, the department stated that it had taken a criminal and civil enforcement action in matters alleging over $8 billion in relief fraud, but it's unclear if this is limited just to domestic fraud. So Congress says to Garland, hey, it's highly concerning that possibly billions of taxpayer dollars intended to help Americans were stolen by criminal rings in foreign countries. Therefore, Merrick, we know you're busy prosecuting Trump, okay? Can you take a break though? We write today to understand the full scope of this problem and what actions the department has taken to investigate the relief program fraud and hold these actors accountable. And so to assist our committee, we need this from you soon. All documents and communications about metrics and the estimates, the loss of the funds due to fraud by international overseas organizations. How much money was stolen? The number of current and closed cases involving COVID fraud, the total dollar value of the fraud by these international criminal organizations, the total number of current or closed cases, and how the money was exploited using any of these programs. We remember these names: PPP, EDIL, PUA, FPUC, PEUC, all the different programs they launched. The total dollar value of the fraud by international actors or organizations delineated by the targeted relief fund. Okay, so what criminal ring targeted what agency? All documents about the DOJ's efforts to identify and eliminate these frauds. All documents and communications about the identity theft tactics and how this is all taken. Further, we request a staff briefing to discuss the department's criminal actions to date. Of course, we are the Select Subcommittee on the vid, and we're allowed to investigate fraud specifically. Please let us know if you have any questions. We look forward to this follow-up with you. Sincerely, your friend Brad Wenstrup, chairman of the vid committee. And so an absolutely insane amount of money. And you can just think about this in terms of, corporations and companies. I mean, Elon paid what, $40 billion for Twitter? So that's like 7 Twitters. Crazy. Stolen. Gone. Criminals inside and outside the United States stole $280 billion. So what is the Department of Justice doing about it? Well, they have done some work on this. And the New York Times published this story. This one came out August 23rd. They said, well, we have charged over 3,100 with pandemic relief fraud. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, what? That's a pretty big number. We know that just over 1,000 at this moment, maybe 2,000 when they're done, are going to be charged under January 6th. And they kept telling us that this was the most sprawling investigation that they've ever worked on. So here, over 3,100 have been charged, dramatically more, which makes me believe that this is probably a much bigger and much more extensive investigation, as it should be. But for more than 2 years, this guy who just got busted, Leon Haynes, New Jersey tax preparer, told some of his clients, they said the feds are giving out free money, man. So he filed more than 1,000 tax forms, and they claimed more than $124 million in COVID money. He was arrested in July. The complaint is one of the several COVID fraud cases detailed on Wednesday. Been cracking down on businesses. As of this week, the federal government, look, they charged more than 3,100 defendants, 3,195 of them specifically. And they seized, oh, we got some money coming back. Nice. 1.4 billion has been retrieved. That's awesome. So 1.4 billion out of 280 billion is just great. So like way less than 1% of the money is recovered. And that's probably just the money that they have identified. I would guess that number is dramatically higher than that. It's probably 5 times that. It's probably $1 trillion was stolen. If I had to, wager it, the actual true number, if the price is right, rest in peace, Bob Barker, I'd say 1 trillion. So this is 1.4 billion that they've clawed back, which is good. That's nice. This included the results of a 3-month sweep to combat the fraud, which ended in July. So they'll spend 2+ years on the J6ers, 3 months on the COVID fraud. The latest action, says Merrick Garland, should send a clear message. The health emergency may have ended, but we're going to continue to prosecute. They estimated more than $200 billion was stolen, or at least 17% of the 1.2 trillion pandemic loans were dispersed to potentially fraudulent actors. Okay, so our own corrupt government can't even steal our money and hand it back out appropriately. They just steal it and they give it to other thieves. The DOJ does not have a specific goal for the amount of money it's trying to recoup. Of course not, because what are they going to get? Less than 1%. They won't even get any of it back. When the money's out the door and we're chasing it, it's difficult to recover. He said some fraudsters were still actively trying to obtain funds, and the case has highlighted the DOJ's massive scope of fraud. A flood of criminals exploited this. They have about 163,000 open investigations. Incredible. Well, this is our government in action. So even when they try to solve problems, they lose literally billions of dollars to thieves and our foreign adversaries. So who knows how much the Chinese got? Who knows how much the Russians got, right, of our own money to support whatever it is they're doing? Shout out to our useless federal government. Gosh.